I was in a mess. In one word, in 2 words, I was a total mess. I had rejected God for 20 or 30 years. Because of my childhood, I had a series of tragedies and accidents and incidences that drove a big wedge between God and I. So until into my 50s, he and I were not together. And in late 97, I was going through a second divorce. My career had ended abruptly due to right-sizing. My mother had just passed away and my brother had passed away. And then January rolls around. And as I was exiting Bell, I was diagnosed with early stage but aggressive prostate cancer. And so that kind of woke me up some more. Somebody asked me what I felt like. Well, I felt like I was in one of Paul's shipwrecks. I was just wherever the wind and the waves blew me. I had no direction, no function, no even much care about life going forward. And then when that diagnosis hit me, well, there we go again, here's another one. Anyway, I elected to have it removed surgically in March of 98. And I did, and thankfully the surgeon did a great job. No other organs were nicked. I had no after effects, and I healed in about 5 or 6 weeks. I was good to go again, doing everything that I like to do, bike, hike, golf, ski. But along the way, I should mention, right after my prostate surgery, there's a test that they can do through blood work that makes sure your prostate gland is in pretty good shape, and it's called a PSA test. And the number of that PSA for a fellow in their early 50s should be around 3 or maybe lower. At my surgery, it was 3.5, but in June after my surgery, it was 0.00, which it should be. I had no prostate. Why would I have this PSA showing up? So that was fine, but now I'm in 2 years later or so, I'm in Arizona, and I'm getting regular follow-ups. My PSA starts to climb. And I saw the doctor, and he scratched his head and said, I don't know, I can't figure it out. We tried another biopsy, but there was nothing to biopsy. So he just said, well, it's still low, so just carry on. Time went on. Life was okay. I was still lost. And after 9/11, when I was in Phoenix, Arizona, I decided I was totally shot. So I decided, well, I didn't want to move back to Ontario. So I thought I would come up to Kelowna and ski at Big White for the winter, which I did. And then along came the spring, and I found a little place to buy. Thought I should stay here. And then another story in itself was I met Bonnie in April of 2002, and I kind of liked her. And she said after a second or third date, and by the way, Paul, just so you know, I go to Trinity on Sundays, and you're welcome to join me. But now we're talking 2002, 3, 4, and my PSA is now getting up there to, it's in the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. My urologist at the time said, if this PSA gets over 10, you need to see an oncologist. So now it's 2010, 11, 12. Now PSA at this point in time, and every 6 months I'm getting blood work. And once a year or so, I'm getting a bone scan. And the bone scans were always stable. It's picked up, a bone scan will pick up hot spots. And a hot spot meaning where there's been some trauma in parts of your body. So my bone scans picked up the hot spot in my pelvic area, obviously where I'd had my surgery. It would pick up a couple little spots on my thumbs where I was experiencing some gradual
osteoarthritis.
Arthritis, and would pick up a couple spots on my back where I had done some damage from skiing and a couple of accidents, so there was scar tissue there. But other than that, fine. I was feeling great, doing great, and now we're getting into, say, 2017 or 18, and now it's into the low thousands, my PSA. And I don't know if I'm going for a World Guinness Book record or not, but it was getting pretty high. 2023 rolls around, my PSA is now over 6,000.
I was concerned about the PSA numbers getting so big, but he was being reassured that, you had no symptoms. that all was well. So that's what we were kind of going on. But in Mexico, the pain he was having, I pulled a muscle or something. And I'm going, seriously? What were you doing to pull a groin muscle? Really? Nothing. I said, that's when I sort of started stomping around and saying, look, what did we hear every time? If you get pain, new pain you've never had before, you need to see me ASAP.
So we were in Mexico late fall of 23 and into early 24 when I had some pain that just exploded all over. Bonnie reminded me of what Dr. Halpern said. I said, yes, we should go home. We did on February the 29th. Well, not home, only a day or two or three. And I woke up one morning and I could not see. Bonnie said, what do you mean you can't see? I said, well, I can't see. Everything is blurry. Okay, zip down to KGH. We had had a couple of scans and they told me I'd had 2 strokes that affected my vision and affected my brain, which was, well, just mush. It was just total fog. And while we were down there, they decided, well, we better do another bone scan while we're at it. And the bone scan was nothing short of shocking. These 2 little 3 spots I talked about earlier, my body, my skeleton was just basically totally white. And
white spotted.
White, it looked like a Christmas tree. So when I finally was referred to an oncologist, my regular oncologist was away, unfortunately, because he had just lost his son to a skiing accident. That was Dr. Halpern. So another oncologist saw me and showed us the bone scan. And I had no words other than, I think I said, this doesn't look good. And I asked the oncologist, and she said, well, it's not good. I said, oh, how much time do I have? She said, you have several months to maybe a couple of years. I went, oh. So that's kind of a showstopper. Bonnie and I looked at each other, and anyway, we came home. And for the next several days, we cried a lot, we prayed a lot, we talked a lot, we thought about end-of-life stuff and all the things that go with it. And, you know, when they say you might want to get your affairs in order, I kind of got a glimpse of what that means. It means you better start thinking about everything. And so we did. And when I went back, we talked to another oncologist and said, okay, this is the best treatment that I can suggest. He said, you're not in good shape. But he said, I would like to suggest no more than 6 rounds of chemo, 3 weeks apart, no more than 6 treatments. And I wasn't really nuts about chemo. But as the months went by, I gradually started to feel a little bit better in between chemo treatments. I wasn't better by a long shot, but I could feel some progress. Thankfully, my family doctor had put me on hydromorphone to help with my pain. And there was some point during that period, I'm going to guess it was, say, June or July, and I said to Bonnie, people are praying for me. She said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know. I can't explain it, but I feel it. And I don't know if it's Twilo's and Trinity's prayer team, my buddies from Freedom's Door, my friends, my family, but people are praying for me. And I had this wash of calm just come over me. And I said, we're going to be okay. Now, whether that meant I was going to die in the next 2 weeks or I really don't know, but I was all of a sudden very much at peace and we were going to see it through. And so time went on, kept healing and healing. My weight came back, my taste buds came back, this came back, that came back.
The hair came back.
Well, some hair came back.
Some hair.
And here I sit now 2.5 years later talking to you and feeling quite good. Meaning we're on this routine still with the injections and the pills, but my vision isn't back perfectly, but it's much better than it was. My brain fog for the most part has lifted. I still have my moments, So my friends would say, well, your brain was never up to speed anyway, so, you know, these are the friends that I have. I must love them and thank them, and because I'm supposed to. And one good friend said, you're just a good reason why only the good die young. That's all there is to it. So I'm still figuring that one out. And I think back, there's no other reason for my recovery than God's grace and love, the prayers that were offered on my behalf from many, many people, and having this woman beside me to look after me in those times when I didn't know which end was up. She was my driver, she was my interpreter, she understood the language, she could speak to the doctors, she could get me to my appointment, she could arrange my meds, she could read my meds, she could tell me when to take my meds. I can't. She's the best gift God ever gave me, other than his son, of course. But and every day I wake up now, it's a new day. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And I can honestly say I'm having fun. As we mentioned earlier, we just got back from a couple of weeks in Newfoundland and had a great trip. And during my illness and recovery, my two words that came to mind were, show me. And of course, it comes from our worship song, I will build my life on a foundation. But the words, show me who you are, fill me with your heart, and lead me in your love to those around me, were with me. And I kept mulling those over me. I wonder what that is, but I now realize that what he was showing me and what he wanted me to do and still wants me to do is use my life and my experience and my recovery to help draw other people closer to him. And I am making a concerted effort to do that on a regular basis. And by that I mean, I'm finding myself asking people if I can pray for them or something out of the blue. People who I don't know. It happened on our trip to Newfoundland. It's happened on our walks. And those are prompts from the Holy Spirit saying, Paul, you got a nudge here to offer some hope or some help to someone. Just do that. I'm becoming more bold in my conversations about Christ to my golfing friends. Not so far away from God now, very close to God. He's my best friend. I talk to him every day and sometimes many times in the same day. And that's how I think he wants us to have that relationship, is just a friend you can talk to anytime and all the time. And that's who he is.